Hi, I get to talk to you today about doing a payback using your quarterly report and your ledger. So we're going to start really quick with the final audit letter that comes to you from the auditors. This is important because this letter will have your exact payback amounts on it and the funding source that we need to pay attention to when there is a payback. So as you can see, I have adjusted the names and the addresses so you couldn't quite tell who this is, but this is actually a real payback. This is last year's grant, so the ledger and things are going to look a little bit different, but we can still use it. So this is not a detailed how to navigate an audit. So there will be other trainings on that, and you can contact Wendy and Lindsay for that information. This is strictly how to do an audit payback. So this letter you can see, it should look pretty familiar for those of you who've probably had, multiple years of grants. This letter's stayed the same the last couple of years or so. So it's just sort of outlining their process, and it's going to be the second page that tells us where the findings are. This agency does have more than one grant, so I will be skipping to audit finding 2 that's applicable to us today. So we'll see here that I will be looking at Stewart, and that this letter tells us that there is an overbilling of $3.12. And I know that Stewart is a match. So that will be important when we go over to our ledger. So the ledger, you'll see as we scroll down, and again, the ledger is different from last year, but you guys have all seen the ledgers from this year. There is sort of an extra box here. There is some space for notes up at the top here, but I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where there's a note section. So the note section tells us that they are reducing the personnel cash match by $3.12. They've done a very good job at laying out how much they overbilled, that it's cash match. They've told us who it's for. They've told us what quarter the overbilling took place. And they've also described that the ledger amount could be $759.98, but they will be reducing it that 312 cents. And so $756.86 should be our amount up here for Stewart, which it is, $756.86. And it's cash match. It is important that you do paybacks for the same funding source and the same line or type of line, if possible, that the finding was found in. So, for example, if they overbilled personnel cash match, it needs for Stewart. You really need to try and make sure the repayment is in Stewart's cash match line. There are some outlying things that happen where you can still do a payback. Say if this line wasn't available, but your grant analyst, you need to be working with your grant analyst to work through that and make sure everybody knows what's going on. So with the ledger, make sure you're making really good detailed notes that match that final audit letter that really lets us know what's happening so that your grant analyst can really just open the ledger, know what's happening. They might email you if they have questions, just so they make sure that they know what's happening and you're on the same page. So the other thing I really quickly wanted to show you was how to find your grant number. It is people going through audits and or site visits, desk reviews. Your grant number is at the top of your ledgers. It was that way for last year. It's that way for this this year as well. But the other way you can find your grant number is when you go into your grant, in your file section of your grant, you can pull up your award package, and you'll see this is a test account that we had to put together. So there'll be a cover letter letting you know you've received a grant. And then you'll see down here, subaward number, your grant number will also be here. So this year they'll say 21 VOCA, 22 VOCA, and have some numbers at the end. So those are two ways that you can find your grant number if you are looking for that.